Wanted to show you that background for a little bit. Hey, everybody, I'm Ian of Austin. I wanted to introduce you to a special guest today. We're talking about Chicago and the move from Chicago to Austin, or maybe from Austin to Chicago. I don't know. Right now, Austin is a little frigid. I think Chicago is a little frigid, but I'm going to bring on my friend Brandon to talk a little bit about what's going on there and why people make this transition. And we're going to get into a few more details like this. Brandon.
What's going on? Thank you, Ian, for having me on your channel. I'm super excited. You know, I love watching everything. I see a ton of people, you know, having this kind of mass exodus out of Illinois. Texas is definitely one of those places, specifically Austin. My name is Brandon Blankenship. I'm a realtor out here in the Chicago burbs. But, you know, grew up here my whole life. Absolutely love it. I think Chicago is the best city in the world. You agree with me. You can probably agree with me. But, yeah, Ian, I'm excited.
I think that's funny because a lot of people really like Chicago, and you have a lot of people that really like Austin. And for those of you that don't know, I'm from Chicagoland area. I always say Chicago because Chicago's a big place. Yep. I don't know if you know, it's kind of like saying I'm from Austin, but I'm actually in others, you know, in a suburb. And same with Chicago. Chicago is huge. So I was in between Chicago and Milwaukee, like smack dab in the middle.
Okay.
So in a suburb. So why don't we start off the gate with, I was thinking of something funny. Words that you know people say wrong. I know it's ridiculous.
Illinois. They call it Illinois. There's no E after Illinois. It's Illinois. And a lot of people here, just like Ian was saying, Chicago's huge. It's massive. Everyone and their moms say they're from Chicago when they actually live in the burbs. Okay, so that's a big thing. It's like people that live in LA, they don't live in Los Angeles. They live like in one of the valleys. So like I think that's the funniest thing. So whenever I come across someone that lives in Chicago, you see Ian, he made it clear he wasn't specifically in the city. He was in between Chicago and Milwaukee. And I was like, okay, cool. I got you. You were in the burbs. Awesome.
I'm asking people on chat if they live in Austin or Chicago or a burb. That's funny. Okay, so here we've got, what do we have? Oh, wait. What's the liquid that is carbonated that you drink?
Pop.
That's sweet.
That's
sweet. A lot of commercials. How do you say that? What do you say?
Pop? Soda?
Okay, I just wanted to hear it. Here, everybody calls it Coke.
Really?
It doesn't matter what it is. It could be Pepsi, and they're like, Coke. Give me a Coke. It's like, what? Yeah, it is interesting. All right, so why don't we talk about just like average home prices, because this obviously is a real estate channel. So what are you seeing as far as home prices in? Let's start with the suburbs first.
Right.
Like so, 2,500 square foot home, something like that.
Yeah, it all really depends. So I service like the Naperville area, and I think that's like the big city that's in the Chicago burbs that typically everyone knows. What I notice for sure is that the 500 to 600K range is super, super high. And 500 to 600K in Naperville, you know, that's getting you pretty big home. I mean, that's getting you 3,000 to 4,000 square feet. So if we're looking at the 2,500 square foot range, you know, you're looking at more around the 400K price range, and that's extremely hot.
And how far is that to the downtown Chicago?
To the downtown, it's probably about Naperville. You're looking about a 45-minute drive, maybe right under 30 miles.
Okay.
So if you move a little more east, there's a town called Elmhurst, and I think Elmhurst is probably, I'm not going to be biased or anything, but this is kind of like a biased remark. But I think Elmhurst has terrific location when it comes to living here in the Chicagoland area, because if you don't enjoy the hustle and bustle, you're only about 20-minute drive from the city of Chicago, from Elmhurst, Illinois, and you're only 15 minutes from O'Hare, which is the airport. So if you like the best of both worlds, having a nice rooftop dinner in Chicago, you can do that on the weekend. Or if you want to get away to, you know, Austin, somewhere warm real quick, you know, you can hit O'Hare airplane and have a 15-minute drive down there. So.
Okay, so what is it? I mean, we've got our price. Well, we've got our price point in Naperville. How about in the city, downtown? If somebody wanted to buy a place downtown,
what are we looking at? City, it all really depends. So I think, you know, the prices are really getting affected in the city right now, just because so many people are leaving the city of Chicago, just because, you know, with the pandemic going on, everything being crazy like that, is that, you know, people don't want to be cooped up in their 1,000 square foot condo and stuff like that. So they're trying to get land right now.
How much are they paying for that 1,000 square foot condo downtown?
It all really depends. I mean, it depends on the neighborhood, really. If you're looking like the heart of the city, you could be looking around a 250K condo for
in the loop.
In the loop, probably.
I know the loop.
250, probably 250 for a 2-bed, 2-bath.
Oh, I guess that's not as unreasonable as I thought.
No, but it's crazy. So you're saying 250, but the HOAs on there are like $900 to $1,200. And what I'm seeing a lot when it comes to that is that a lot of luxury apartment buildings are, they're offering like 2 to 3 months free rent just to get in. They're dropping prices down. So it's kind of affecting those prices, because why move into a building that was built in 1990, no renovations, that, okay, yeah, you're getting it for 200K. Your mortgage looks nice, but then you tack on that $1,200 HOA, and your long-term game isn't, to stay in the city of Chicago. I'm a straight shooter, so I've had a lot of friends that have asked me, saying like, "Hey, like, should I buy this place?" I'm like, "Well, do you want to be in the city long-term?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, I honestly personally think there's nothing wrong with renting, just for the time being, because you can really get a sweet deal right now. It's crazy."
Okay, and talk to me about are you seeing people leave? Like what reasons are you seeing people leave?
Right. I think a lot of it has to do with the winters. I mean, really. I mean, everyone, I know you can probably relate to this, Ian. I mean, a lot of your family's always probably like, "Oh, I'm getting out of here. I'm moving to Arizona." And like, the pandemic's really just like having people make that move. Because I also see too that like, people that move to the city are typically younger, and then when they get married, they already have that game plan in their mind to move to the burbs to raise a family, get a yard and everything like that. But, with all this working from home, people are really reevaluating their lives, and they're like, wait, we can move somewhere warm and have the same job right now. So why don't we do it? And I kind of see that's like a big reason people are moving. I mean, especially in the winter, it gets pretty brutal. I know you guys just got snow, so.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about that. Okay, I'm going to talk about that for a minute. It is, I think it's unfortunate that we're in the situation that we're in, and I don't think people that are from elsewhere understand the gravity or the magnitude of the situation. So an example is, I can drive in the snow. I've always wondered if it gets a little precipitous on the ground, it's a little rainy. I'm like, why can't anybody drive? And I'm like, oh yeah, because they're not from where I'm from.
Right.
But here's the thing. What happened here in this last week or so is we had rain, and then it froze, and then there was snow, and then it rained, and then it froze. And while that was happening, there's no plows or anything like that. That doesn't exist here. And then apparently, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but apparently wind turbines had frozen, and that's where we were getting a lot of our energy. And so power was cutting off, water was cutting off. People weren't able to, flush and stuff, and couldn't get anywhere because the trucks to bring groceries to the stores couldn't make it. So all that to say, it's very different what's going on now than than just a snowstorm in Chicago, because I'm used to that.
For sure.
I'm actually wearing a pretty thick shirt because I'm used to, we go camping and all that sort of stuff, and I hate being cold. So that's one reason I left. Anyway, enough about that. That's not what this was about, right?
For sure.
So, okay, what type of people have you seen anybody leave like Texas and move to Chicago, or what kind of people belong in Chicago?
I feel like, just like the Midwest in general, people are genuinely like really, really, really nice. I mean, obviously there's that period of time in the winter where, it gets dark at 4 p.m. So everyone's a little cranky. But, I'm always optimistic and look at the bright side of it. I mean, when there's winter here, there's a lot of snow. You do all your skiing, you do your snowboarding, you do your sledding and all that stuff. And honestly, summers here in Chicago are absolutely incredible. So the people that do, relocate back to here, because the city, it's either city or the family. And I think those are the two major things. I mean, I lived in Los Angeles for a short period of time, so I can kind of attest to like knowing the city of Los Angeles and knowing the city of Chicago. And the city of Chicago, 100 times better than just the city of Los Angeles alone. So
really,
that is my opinion.
That's bold words.
That is my opinion.
Okay. So what kinds of things do you do? So we talked about what you do in the winter. What do you do in the summer? I guess
summer, Chicago, I mean, we have Lake Michigan. It's not really a beach, but it looks like a beach for sure. It looks beautiful because the skyline's right behind you. So that's amazing. A lot of the things I would do while I was growing up, I mean, I would go down to just hang out. I mean, there's a ton of rooftop bars in downtown Chicago just because of the architecture.
Yeah.
There's so many. I mean, you got London House, you got Offshore, you got a ton of different ones, and I really like. I mean, me being young still, there's a lot of great nightlife down there in the city of Chicago. You know, bars here open till like 3 to 4 a.m. I'm not sure what it's like in Austin, but they open pretty late here. It's pretty crazy. And then also, I mean, sports here are incredible. We have the best basketball player of all time to grace the streets of Chicago. Not LeBron James, Michael Jordan.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, who are you talking about? Yeah, I remember.
We had Michael Jordan here. I mean, we have two baseball teams. We have the Cubs and the Sox. Wrigleyville is a fantastic time all the time because, you got Wrigley Field and then you got Wrigleyville, and then Wrigleyville has all, the streets with all the bars and all the clubs and all the restaurants. So it's awesome.
Okay, so let's take a step back and talk about the weather. So it sounds like you have things to do, whether it's cold out or whether it's warm out. But there are, I mean, would you say there's a decent amount of people that are leaving and coming to Texas, right?
For sure.
Why do you think that is? Like, what is it about the weather that's getting them? Why don't we talk about what the weather is like? So like right now, what's the weather like?
I mean, I'm looking outside my window. We probably about have 2 feet of snow, but obviously it's different here because we have the infrastructure in place to handle this. So I do, my heart's out there for all the people, in Texas that are Texas born and raised. Ian and I are used to this. I mean, This is a normal day in Chicago for us, or Chicago suburbs. But I mean, like the weather right now in the winter, it could be pretty brutal. I'm not sure when you were here last time, Ian, but I remember like maybe 4 winters ago, it was like negative 27, and that's without the wind chill.
So when I moved, it was something to that effect. So I moved in 2015. Okay. It was negative 20 at least, negative 20, and it was February 6th. And I had my motorcycle and my furniture in the U-Haul, with like the big U-Haul, with the trailer on the back. And I had my car on the trailer, drove 3 days, stopped in some Walmart parking lots, and it was in the middle of a snowstorm, no less, right? So there's a snowstorm. It was negative 20 plus, everything's sliding around. I've got this U-Haul with the trailer and it's super heavy. Anyway, I pull up here in Austin, Texas, and it was 78 degrees on February 9th. And I thought, yep. Now, obviously today is not like that and it's February 18th, but it should be 70 degrees next week.
Right. That's crazy for sure. And I think, a big thing too about people here is that like, even though like you can't trust the Fahrenheit here in the winter, because even though it says it's 20 degrees Fahrenheit, that wind chill will get you. I mean, that wind chill is brutal.
How about the summers?
Summers, you better start buying your bug spray for sure. For sure. You better start buying your bug spray in the winter because it's cheaper. So go to your Walmart, Target, one of your grocery stores, start buying that. But no, winter or summers are awesome. I mean, it does get pretty humid here.
I was going to say, you don't think it's a little humid?
It's a little humid, but, like I said, the city of Chicago just has something to it. I mean, like the hustle in there, like it's like a little New York, a little Manhattan. I mean, it's awesome. So, I mean, it's not as expensive over there. So, I mean, Chicago's a great option for that. You want the city life.
Okay. What about like food and art and that sort of thing? Because that's a big thing here, right? Okay. Tell me about the food. Chicago. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. I have not found pizza that I'm in love with here.
Right.
And there was so much pizza up north, and there's more than just the pizza, right? There's the Italian beefs. There's all sorts of things.
Right. I think Chicago has, a tremendous food. I mean, like I said, I lived in Los Angeles too, so I definitely know a thing or two about food. I mean, Los Angeles has a ton of great, Mexican food, tacos, and just like that. And, people from Chicago moved out there and opened their own pizza restaurants. But yeah, I mean, pizza is definitely incredible here. Ian, are you a Giordano's or Illuminati's kind of guy?
Ooh, I started off as a Giordano's kind of guy, and I've transitioned to being Illuminati's because it's about that butter crust. You can't, You can't go wrong there, man. It is delicious. And people
100.
that have not had it, that's the thing. If you haven't had it, and people that are in Austin, for example, or born and raised in Texas, they don't know pizza. No offense. They don't know what they're missing. Okay. Oh man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Illuminati is like it's incredible. Everyone that's watching this that's not from Chicago or has never had Chicago deep dish, you can order it online, and it's not the same, but it's pretty darn close, and it's pretty good if you cook it the way it says to cook it. But we have great Italian beef, Portillo's. We have like the best hot dogs in the U.S. here in Chicago. There's so many like crazy hot dog spots that like have 5,000 5-star reviews on Yelp. My favorite one is Gene and Jude's, which is just outside the city of Chicago, Riverside area, Elmwood Park kind of district. It's amazing. Like it's literally ranked. It's kind of insane. But there's just a ton of great different food options here in the city of Chicago. We're just known for hot dogs, beefs, and pizza. So that's the big thing over here.
All right. Well, I think I left Chicago. I know you love Chicago, but because I have an Austin real estate channel, I think we need to talk about the reasons why people would want to relocate, right? Like
right.
What are some of the differences? So if someone was relocating, why don't you give me the top 3 reasons why you feel someone should stay or someone should go? Maybe that's it.
So top 3 reasons that people definitely leave is definitely winter. I mean, winter, like if you grew up here in Illinois, everyone says it. They're like, oh, I need to get out here. This is the last winter I'm ever going to do with my life. So yeah. Winter for sure. Property taxes, that's huge here.
Let's talk about that. What's the deal with property taxes?
It's just insanely high, and a lot of it is like I'm going to speak for the suburbs alone. I mean, a lot of it goes into the public schools over here. Yeah. Property taxes can get pretty crazy, just depending where you're at. Naperville, Glen Ellyn, Wheaton, so those suburbs generally are pretty high. But there are some places in the suburbs where I live where they're moderate. Oak Brook is one of those towns that doesn't really have property tax, and they're significantly lower. So that's definitely a big thing too with people here, is that they're just like, no, property taxes are too high. Why are we going to pay $14K, $15K a year on it? Or another thing that I see with people and sellers right now is like, why are we going to sell our house to get into a next one where our property taxes right now are only about 7 to 8K, but transition into like 16K after we buy a new house? So that's a big thing that I've been seeing. So that's pretty crazy. And then number 3 that I can see people leaving is that, there's just not a lot of things to do in the burbs, honestly. At the end, I mean, there are a lot of things to do for sure, but it's not like you can't just step outside and just be like, oh, I'm going to go hiking. There's no hiking. Illinois is flat.
Yeah.
So Illinois is pretty flat for the most part. There's a lot of farmland, so it really just depends where you live. I think that's why, in my opinion, I'm going to be biased right here, is that you gotta live at least 45 minutes to the city if you're going to live in Illinois, in my opinion. So. Okay,
so I'm gonna counter those with equally not positive things about Austin, just because, like, if I'm asking you why people would leave, I'd have to be fair and ask why. So what'd you say? The weather? I would say here, the Texas heat is intense.
Yeah.
But people don't understand. I used to never have to worry about sunscreen or anything like that because I've got an excess amount of melanin. I'm assuming that's how that works.
Right.
And it does not matter here. You have to protect yourself. That's one thing that's really important. Not that I shouldn't have been earlier, but even more so now. So that's one. The heat hits differently here. It really does. And then obviously when we have this kind of thing, this kind of weather happening, Texas can't handle it very well. And so those are 2 really important weather points. Right. You said, what was the second one you said? I remember taxes. So let's talk about taxes. So property taxes here, I think it hits people harder than they realize, depending on where they come from. So the property taxes here are pretty hefty, but that's because we have no state income tax.
Oh.
So we have no state income tax, and we also don't have a real estate sales tax, which I believe Illinois does have. Mm-hmm. So every time you sell a house or you purchase a house, on top of it, you have to put an additional, I think it's 1%, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 1% tax on top of that sale on either side of the transaction. We don't do that here.
That's
So
interesting.
we gotta get you with the property taxes, and we got to get you with the fees. So you're going to pay those tolls.
Right.
You're going to pay that kind of stuff, and you're going to pay your property taxes.
That's interesting. So can I pause you there then? Is that why you probably see a lot of people relocating to Austin, is because no state income tax?
That is a big, well, I mean, there are a lot of reasons. There are so many reasons. We're going to talk about the likes in a second. What was the third dislike that you had? Why would somebody leave? What was the third one?
Weather, taxes. If you're living in the burbs, there's not as many things to do.
Okay, so here, within 30 minutes, there are a variety of landscapes, so many different things to do. So you can go to Hill Country, go drink some wine. You can go over and go. I almost said cow tipping. That's not a thing. Adults don't tip cows, but you can go. If you want to just hang out on your buddy's farm and play around on mini bikes. I'm trying to think of things that I do, right? If you want to go hiking, it's all very, very short.
That's awesome.
Distance, right? If you want to be downtown and go cruise Rainy Street or 6th Street, if you want to go to the water, we have fresh water, and it's you can handle it because the weather's nice most of the time. So so everything's in close proximity right now. Right now. That's really important. I see that changing over the years. And with Elon Musk and Zillow and everybody talking about how great Austin is, there has been a mass exodus of people leaving everywhere else and coming here. I've helped people from Chicago. I've helped people from Florida, New York, Costa Rica, Hawaii. I keep bringing those up because it happens. Oklahoma, just everywhere. I don't think I've had many people move from Colorado, which is interesting.
Do you think Austin's like the next California? Like I always see articles on that. I see Graham Staffin talking about me, Kevin. Like they're all talking about like Austin's the next Cali.
It's interesting because the popularity, and that's what we're going to talk about. Why? We'll talk about why. So I'm going to hold that question until we talk about. So give me 3 reasons why someone would move to Chicago. So we talked about why people would leave. Give me 3 reasons why people would move there. If they're anywhere else in the world, why would they move to Chicago?
Right. So in the US, I see the big 3 cities, or maybe like top 5, and 3 of them being Los Angeles, New York, and then Chicago. And out of those 3 right there, I see Chicago as the most affordable. You're obviously going to have your differences. I mean, New York weather replicates Chicago, and then you got the Los Angeles weather where it's, 70 sunny, 350 out, 365 days a year. So I see the price factor in there, and you're just having a beautiful city. Number 2 is that great food, great culture. There's a ton of great food over here. There's a ton of great culture, ton of great stuff to do, whether you like sports, art, just anything in that vicinity. If you like music festivals, we have Lollapalooza, we have Spring Awakening. There's a lot of great festivals that happen over here every single summer. We don't have a beach, but we have Lake Michigan, and it's good enough. It works. It does the job. So that's definitely another reason. And then another reason why I see a lot of people move here is because they have family. And at the end of the day, especially with the pandemic going on, a lot of people want to be with their family.
How are jobs?
Pardon me?
How are jobs? Are jobs all right?
Jobs are good. Jobs are good for sure. I mean, here in the burbs, I'm going to speak for the burbs, but we have, great school systems here that employs a ton of teachers, a ton of healthcare workers. I know there's been a few hospitals that just opened in Elmhurst, actually, DuPage Medical Group. So jobs are always on the plus over here. I think that's why a lot of people live or move to like the Naperville area, is because of the wide variety of jobs, whether it be the healthcare industry or, just anything, finance industry, anything from there. Just because Naperville has a population of like, I want to say 160,000 people. Don't quote me on that. Everyone that's watching, just Google it real quick. But I believe it's around 160. So there's a lot of people that live here. And then the surrounding suburbs have about, 30 to 60,000 people in population. So there has to be, a solid growth in jobs here to, support all that.
It's funny that you mentioned Naperville. So a couple of years ago, I remember reading an article from Forbes or Fast Times or one of those magazines, and they said Round Rock, Texas, which is just north of Austin, is the number 4 safest city in the United States, all of the United States. And then I was like, well, what's third, second, and first? First was actually Naperville.
It is. It's so interesting, and a lot of people always ask, If you go on niche.com, you can actually see Naperville's rankings. And besides safest city, it's also, I believe in 2020, it was either number 1 or number 2 best city to raise a family.
Yep. Yeah, they kind of correlate.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, Naperville, the Chicago burbs, I'm not going to be super biased, but this is just my opinion. But I think, the burbs are incredible when it comes to raising a family, being close proximity to the city. They have great real estate market over here. And there's a good amount of things to do in Naperville. I think, all the surrounding suburbs here too have terrific downtown areas, and they're all pretty unique to themselves. So, I mean, like I said, with one of the cons why I see people leaving, not a lot of things to do in the burbs. You just got to look really. With the weather. Yeah, exactly. And with the weather being severe, it's really it's hard to do things in the winter for sure outside. So, you're really just doing things when it's warm out.
Yes, which is only half the year at best.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
So, okay, well, I got to do the positive counters, right? So you talked about those 3 big cities. So for me, I think Austin is in the geographical center of the United States. I think really we're the Midwest, even though Chicago likes to call themselves the Midwest. Like if you look on a map, it's exactly 19 hours that way to get to California, exactly 19 hours that way to get to Florida, right? And we are dead center in the middle. And then we're surrounded by big cities, right? So we're surrounded by Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, San Marcos, and a few other big ones. So I think that's kind of interesting as far as getting other places outside of the U.S. Obviously, we have the Capitol and then the Austin airport. So that's cool, an international airport, but it's a tiny airport compared to O'Hare.
Right.
More like Midway size. And I think you said weather. You didn't say that's why people live in Chicago. So weather is one reason why people move to Austin. And you also said mosquitoes. We don't have mosquitoes because we have too many bats.
That's interesting.
I mean, there are a few places, people that have, larger amounts of land or sitting water or something. There might be places, but if you're downtown Austin, there is not a mosquito inside. Ne'er not a mosquito. you just don't have it. It's pretty crazy. And it's one thing that you just have to get used to. There's no squirrels either. I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but yeah, you look around, there's like 3 squirrels and mostly it's just big spiders and other things. No mosquitoes. It's strange. Okay. So another thing you talked about the art and the culture. I think we have a lot of that here. I would say Chicago has more because it's bigger, but Austin, we were called the music capital of the world for a long time. Live music. Live capital of the world. They do a good job. They do a good job with the festivals. I think obviously this year and last year are a bit trying. But you can go. So here's what makes it unique compared to Chicago. We have, oh my gosh, coffee and beer bars. Like it's both at the same place. I know, you see your face. That's one of those things you don't have that in Chicago. I was like, why don't they have that?
Right.
So here you can go and it's a coffee shop. They brew their coffee in the morning and then they brew beer in the evening, and you can actually get both all day, and it's all brewed in house. And then there's a live stage for people to play music. It's like, what?
That's crazy. Someone needs to open that in Chicago because they will be a millionaire.
Yeah, but it'd be cold half the time, so they can't.
That's true.
That's the difference. That's one of those things it's an experience that once you have it, you can't unhave it.
Right.
And I missed that. Another one like that was we have indoor movie theaters where you eat and you drink and all that, and they bring you your food. We've had that forever. Obviously, this year's been different, but that's been here for many years. Where in Chicago, I think there was one.
Yeah. They're starting now, but it's not as, it's just traditional still. It's still traditional.
Movies in the park. So all the time, I mean, most of the year, even in our HOA, our communities, you can just go and they'll just be playing movies at the pool or something, or somebody will just come and bring a blow up and just put a movie out there for you guys to bring your camping chairs and watch, or your picnic baskets and blankets. And you're like, this is neat. And that's the kind of thing that I didn't know that I wanted until I was here.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, you should take some of those ideas and run with them back up north.
I might have to honestly. But here, Ian, let me ask you this.
Okay.
So people obviously are relocating out of Chicago.
Yep.
To move to wherever, somewhere warm, obviously. I would assume. So, Arizona, Texas, Florida, whatever. But for all the people that are moving to Texas, why Austin? Why not Houston? Why not Dallas? Why not San Antonio?
That's an excellent question. A lot of people don't feel like Austin is like the rest of Texas.
Okay.
That's one thing that I hear a lot. But I think that so I did I T-charted between, I have a buddy in Florida. I was like, I'm going to go to Florida. I looked at California and then I turned away real quick because the prices out there were just crazy. Right. And, I want it to be warm too. You look all around the bottom coast. Well, I like the possibility of Austin's growth. And I saw that early on because we have music, culture, access to water in case a ship needs to get to port. Mm-hmm. That's really important. And it's a couple hours down, but still the access to water is what makes big cities huge, prominent. Right. Except for Vegas. Everywhere else has access to water. So even Chicago, that's what made it big.
Exactly.
Right. Jobs. Our jobs here are crazy. And the proximity to things, like you said, the fact that you can get everywhere pretty quick. And there's a lot of different topography. So you have people that need all of those fulfillments. So people that are fine living out in the country and having flat land, and they're farmers. There's a lot of local farming here, which is really incredible.
Wow.
But then, so there's a lot of farm to table restaurants and stuff. We don't have fresh fish. I mean, we do if they're coming down from Houston, but if you wanted to, have a house over in a mountain, it's not a mountain, it's a big hill. But you could feel like you're driving through some mini mountains and stuff, and beautiful sunsets. It's called what is it? And I know Chicago has some pretty sunsets. That's why I brought up sunsets.
Right.
I just Austin is called City of the Violet Crown.
Okay.
Because sometimes you get a purple hue as the sun sets.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's crazy. You ever seen the movie Black Panther?
Yeah, of course.
All right. You say, of course. I'm not going to assume either way these days, man. There's all sorts of stuff. And theaters have been shut down for a while. Or movies, a lot of people, I guess if you're streaming, anyway, I bring it up because the sunset in Wakanda on Black Panther, I swear that looks like Austin.
Really? That's crazy.
That is gorgeous.
That's crazy. I would have never thought that, honestly. I mean, like you said, Chicago has magnificent sunsets, especially if you're just hanging on Lake Michigan, or you're on a rooftop bar and you just see the city, or you have a buddy in one of those sky rises and you have a top floor and you just see it all. But Chicago, LA had some great ones too. So I'm kind of thinking, it's probably like in the LA realm when it comes to sunsets, comparing it to Austin, because LA had some beautiful ones for sure too.
Okay, help me with something. Have you ever had Whataburger?
Never, but I know it's equivalent to In-N-Out.
See, okay, somebody's gonna want to fight you for saying that, because you say it's equivalent. I agree. Well, I don't agree. I actually like In-N-Out better. Shh, don't tell anybody. But the reason why I brought it up is because we had an iconic building in Chicago owned by Sears, Roebuck & Co.
Okay.
And it was called the Sears Tower.
It's now the Willis.
And it's now the Willis. Guess who bought it?
Whataburger?
Whataburger. Why did they buy that?
Wait, do you know the reason why?
No, I don't. I have no idea. That's why I'm asking. Oh, okay. No. It kind of threw me. Anyway, we're like way off topic. I thought that was interesting.
That's crazy. I would have never thought that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Are you a burger guy?
I'm a big burger guy.
What's the best burger you have there?
For
anybody visiting Chicago, best burger that you have to have if you go to Chicago and you're hanging out with Brandon?
The safest bet, honestly, for everyone that's just just coming to visit in Chicago, is just go to Portillo's. Honestly, just go to Portillo's. I mean, it's the safest bet when it comes from you want an above average hot dog, Portillo's. You want an amazing Italian beef, go to Portillo's. You want an above average cheeseburger, go to Portillo's. I mean, Portillo's has everything really, and you can't go wrong with their cheese fries there and their cake shakes. And what the cake shakes are is they literally throw a piece of chocolate cake into a chocolate shake and they call it a cake shake. So that's literally what it is. But Portillo's is a staple here. I mean, that was something I 110% missed when I lived down in LA. They had one in LA, but it was not the same. I think it was something in the water that did make it right. But no, if you're coming here to visit Chicago, just go to Portillo's and get Illuminati's. Those are the only things you need to do, and then you can stay. You feel pretty Chicago.
You don't need to see Chicago. You don't need to go on any of those.
Go see the Bean. Go see the Bean too. That's what everyone does.
Oh, and the Millennium Park.
Go Millennium
Park. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess that's a thing. That's funny. Okay, so can you explain to people how we can work together if they were trying to make a transition? Either way, whether they're coming or going. Either way. Just I don't think everybody gets that, right?
Right. I think the biggest thing, when it comes to relocating anywhere, even if it's not Chicago to Austin, but let's talk about if it was Chicago to Austin working with me and Ian, is that, there's a ton of stress that goes onto it. And, Ian and I's job is to make this, process as stress-free as possible. Just having two realtors that work together hand in hand that, talk on a daily basis is definitely beneficial to you because let's say, hypothetically, you go seek out your own realtor in Chicago and your own realtor in Austin. Chances are they don't know each other. There are a ton of realtors out here in this world, and not a lot of them collaborate, but a lot of them do. So, just making sure that all deadlines, hit at the same time, making sure that, you're getting, service at a high level is definitely important for both of us. So just, being able to collaborate just like Ian and I are doing right now on this live stream, definitely goes a long way because, we share the same purpose to having extraordinary customer service. So I think, that's a big thing. So if you have any questions at all, I mean, Ian and I will definitely point you in the right direction. What I tell all my clients that are thinking about relocating too is that even if it's a year out, it's never a bad idea to start game planning because this market is insane. So, game planning is definitely not a bad idea. We'll be here every step of the way. We have vendors for everything that you need from moving to contractors. And, that's something that, just helps out the whole process for sure.
If someone was buying a house in your area, let's say either Chicago or like one of the burbs like Elmhurst or Naperville, right. How long do those houses sit on the market?
Oh my gosh. Naperville right now, 500, 600K. If it just has a little sparkle onto it, it's going in a weekend. Honestly, Elmhurst, it's going in a weekend. If you're looking in those price points, basically anything under 600K single family home, and it just has some sparkle to it, it's off the market. I mean, it's incredible right now.
You don't have a lot of new builds there, right?
Not really. You got to keep going farther west typically. Okay. Everything just west of like Naperville, Elmhurst, Glen Wheaton, it's pretty built up already. Okay. So as you keep going west, like areas like Plainfield, Hampshire, which is up north, Aurora, there's definitely a lot more new builds over there. If you want to stay in the western suburbs and be close proximity to Naperville still and the city, I think Bloomingdale is a great option. Just north of Glendale Heights, north of Naperville, I think there's a ton of great opportunities for new builds over there. But no, I definitely feel Austin definitely has a lot more new builds, right?
Well, yeah, it's interesting though because we have a lot of land,
right?
But the price, the thing about the prices. So you had mentioned, 600, 700K. A year ago, you didn't have to be in that price range in order to compete.
Wow.
In Austin, and we're rapidly approaching. If you want to be in a new build, right. It is hard to get a new build under 450. It's hard. It's not impossible, but it is really hard. And some of them are doing bids, and some of them have wait lists for 100, 200, 300, 600 people long.
Wow.
Wait lists.
That's crazy.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And so that's if you go the new build route. But if you go the resale route, if you want to just buy a house, right. I think I was telling you before the stream, I've got a client, we put in something like 10 offers in 3 days and nothing. Nothing. All the same email. Oh, you had a strong offer, but we'd like to, unfortunately, as soon as you get that, unfortunately, like, really?
That's crazy.
Really? And I'm talking when you're going like our prices. So our list price for a house, I'll give you an example. Our list price for a house might say 350,000. People need to know this. This is important. Everybody who's watching this, if it says 350,000,
right,
you cannot get out of that. out of paying less than $400,000 in 95% of cases
Right.
for a resale house if there's nothing wrong with the house.
Right.
Or if it's not off market, or if it's not a new build.
Right.
It is really challenging right now. And
right.
I don't think people understand the magnitude of that. So, if somebody says to me, "Oh, I want to buy a house for $300,000," that's great. That means you want to look for a house that's $225,000. What? No, my budget's $3. That's not how this game works right now.
It's true though. It's crazy.
If Zillow would have kept their mouth shut, if everyone else moving here, and I'm not saying don't, I love it.
Right.
Sorta, I kind of love it. But at the same time, it's getting to be a little too difficult to help people, which is kind of unfortunate. So, and it sounds like it's similar there, except the price points they're just way up there.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, we were talking about this off air too. I mean, I have a lot of family and friends that, come to me to saying like, hey, I want to wait till the prices drop a little bit. And some people that I work with right now, I always prepare my buyers saying just like you said, oh, I want a 300K house. Okay, we got to start looking at 250.
Yeah.
Cause honestly, it's the truth. In this market right now with interest rates being so low, the name of the game right now is supply and demand.
It is.
So that's why everything's going pretty crazy. And I have clients that will tell me saying hey, this house down the street sold for 300K though. Why is this one asking 320? Well, that 300K house had 16 offers on it. So only one person got it. And these 15 other buyers see this other house and they know what they have to do. Yep. So that's kind of what's happening right now is that every single time a house sells, it just serves as a new comp. And in my personal opinion too, I believe that the people that, bought early March last year, March, April-ish, they won for the most part. They did a great job. They did a great job for sure.
Well, and that's not to say people that are buying now aren't winning.
No, not winning at all. Yeah, they're winning for sure. Interest rates are incredible still.
Yeah. Well, and God, it's so interesting. I think when you look at, so I think it's important to also note, you said comps, just to kind of elaborate for people that may or may not know, you can't look at a house on Zillow that's active. Mm-hmm. And I'm using Zillow with emphasis. You cannot look at a house on Zillow and say, you know what? Well, this one's for sale for 400, and that one's not as good as this one that's for sale for 375, and then use that as a basis for your offer. The only way you can use it as a basis, and it's kind of going out the window, is you have to find out what is actually closed on the house. Anybody can write a number down. Zillow. You can go onto the site yourself and say, I want to sell my house for $800,000 and it's 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Gerald, Texas.
Right.
People are going to think you're crazy. It's going to sit there for 19 years.
Right.
But you can do it.
Right.
But that's not what we use to compare the actual value of the house.
Right.
So anyway, all that to say, talk to your realtor.
Larry, just talk to your realtor
about the comp process, or look for houses that have closed, not pending, not under contract, but have actually closed. And this is in Austin or in Chicago. It doesn't matter where you are. Anywhere in the United States, that applies.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's the best route to go about it. And that's really the only route. I mean,
and that gives you lag time too. That means if it took 30 days to close, you be offering what they closed at, because that's the prices are rising and the supply is low.
Right.
You have to go higher substantially right now. I mean, we increased. So I did a video on my channel, and it was return on investment over the last 5 years in all these different cities. Some cities were like 50%.
That's crazy.
That's in 5 years. Austin, the anticipation is that prices have risen almost that much in the last few months.
50%?
50%. It's crazy.
That's insane. What do you think it's going to sustain, or what are your thoughts? I mean, obviously we don't have crystal balls, but
okay. And I've talked about this a few times. I feel like because we have so much of a magnetism towards Austin, being where it's at, being in the media, all of a sudden, we've always had, I mean, Apple's been here since the 90s, or I think it was the 90s, maybe early 2000s. Apple's been here for a long time. forgive me on the dates, but Apple's been here for a long time. Samsung's been here for a long time.
Right.
Facebook, Google, they've all had a presence here.
Right.
People hear Tesla, and all of a sudden, it's like, no, you're late. Dell grew up here.
Wow.
Like all these big companies have been here for a long time, and people are just now discovering it. And they're like, oh, it's got all that. It has jobs and nice weather.
Right.
Let's go to Austin. And that's great, because that's the same thing that so many people are thinking. But
right.
The question was, will it subside? Well, Austin specifically would go up. And then when there was a crash everywhere else in the United States, like Detroit, remember when Detroit, you could buy a house for $10, it would go like this. Austin just tapered. Yeah. And then it goes up and then it tapers. Now we're like this. We're at the bottom of a Bitcoin bell curve.
Wow.
Right now.
That's crazy. That's so crazy to me to think about like that. It's honestly insane how that market's like rocking and rolling, but it's not insane because, like you said, that job market is incredible for sure. I mean, like I personally didn't know Apple and all of them were there. So it's basically Silicon Valley had a baby and it moved to Austin.
But it was a young Silicon Valley that had the baby because those companies aren't even that old.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Did you know the first iPhone came out in 2007?
I thought it was older than that.
Nope.
Wow.
First iPhone, 2007. Android was right around the corner. I think it was either 2006, 2008. It was somewhere like that. It was. Right. They were real close to it. I'm going to say after. They had the prototype earlier, but it didn't come out until after. So, 2007. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
Apple's been here for a long time. Dell Computers has been here for a long time. All these big companies. Oracle has been here for a long time. Wow. They've got a beautiful building. What people are seeing are the second. They're like, we're going to move our headquarters here. Amazon's already been here, but no. They're building 5. Most people only know about 1. There's an Amazon plant coming to Pflugerville. Sure. There are 5. They're building so much and people are catching wind of it slowly, but surely. Yeah.
That's insane.
I don't think it's slowing down. All that to say, I don't think it's slowing down anytime soon.
That's insane.
If ever. I don't think in our lifetimes we will see Austin drop in price considerably. You might see slowdown in how quickly things are sold. Mm-hmm. But unless there was some catastrophic event, but even like LA, you were in LA. Earthquakes all the time. People still live there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You go to Florida, there's hurricanes all the time. People still live there. People don't care. They're happy most of the time. And then one bad thing happens and they either make a change or they don't.
Right. Exactly.
I feel like that's the reality of the situation. So I feel like Austin is people, once they realize that they want to make that move, and for all the reasons they kind of stay. It's same with Chicago. People that deal with winter, they deal with it until they can't deal with it anymore. Right.
I think that's the biggest thing with the relocation is,
they
you
love
deal with it until you can't. Exactly. You deal with it until you can't. And like Los Angeles, LA, California had their earthquakes. Florida has their hurricanes, but they all have one thing in common, just like Austin. They have the beautiful weather. So it keeps people there for sure.
Yeah. I've had a few people that have relocated from California or from Florida, and they say, Ian, you lied to me. I said, I didn't lie. I said, it's not perfect. It's not what you're used to. Maybe I said that. That's the line I'm going to start using. It's not what you're used to, but it's pretty good. Because, I've been here just over 6 years, and I have officially seen snow twice.
Right.
But it was like a dusting and then it was gone.
Right.
And then now this is so much different.
That's so crazy.
So much different. Yeah. So I'm glad that we didn't lose power. We didn't lose internet. We turned everything down. I usually have like 10 computers running. So I turned all those off. I pre-charged. I showed you this earlier. I pre-charged. I've got like all these cell phones because I do a lot of cameras and stuff. So I pre-charged all that. So I've got battery packs for days. So if I need to make an emergency call or something,
that's awesome.
I'm good.
You're prepared.
Yeah. I'm one of the fortunate few, and there are a lot of people that still need some help. So
Yeah, for sure.
It's tough, man. I think everything should subside in the next couple of days. That's my hope. And I really hope that the city planners and anyone who is responsible takes a good look at remediation plans to make sure it doesn't happen again. Well, has anything like that happened in Chicago where it's just been like disastrous lately?
No, I think just because Chicago, it's Illinois is 4 seasons. So, I mean, you have like the government has to have, well, I assume that the government has to have like the infrastructure to deal with like those problems that arise in every single different season. So, no, I've never seen anything like that happen here. I mean, when it snows drastically, things just close up and everyone just stays home. And it's a snow day and everyone enjoys it.
3 feet of snow.
Right.
I never missed going to school. Like there might be 2 days out of the year. They were like, get out there and you just bundle up more. That's it. Right. There was no, you still had to figure it out. Right. You're sitting there. The snow was higher than my kneecaps in Chicago. Like that happened all the time.
Yeah, of course.
It wasn't a problem. Right. Yeah, I guess. So the weather. Yeah. But I can't believe there haven't been any kind of like big events like that. No, I mean, obviously no hurricanes, anything. Illinois is on one of the biggest fault lines in the U.S.
I did not know that, but I'm glad I know that now.
It's one of the biggest, but from what I know, there haven't been any recent earthquakes because if it was, that would just destroy Chicago. I think is how it works.
Probably that would make sense though. I mean, I have not heard of anything like that. Like honestly, there hasn't been anything drastic like in terms of like weather that like stops like that's like big news. That's like us going into like lockdown or anything. Like no, nothing crazy. If anything, snow day. Then next day you're back on with your life.
Yeah, it's just another normal day in Illinois.
Seriously.
Well, very cool. I think that we covered a lot of ground. What would you say as parting words to anybody who wants to relocate but hasn't done it yet? What would you say to those people?
Relocate here to Chicago?
I'm going to leave that open. Okay, so obviously I'm an Austin realtor. When we go on your channel, we'll talk about relocate to Chicago. So yeah, if someone's in Chicago, wants to consider Austin, what would be your parting words? What would be your words of wisdom that you would tell them?
Yeah, for sure. I think it definitely just get in contact with Ian ASAP. Honestly, like if you're considering making that move, like this is what we do for a living. This is what we love. We love to help, people relocate. I love to help people start the next chapter of their life. So yeah, if you're relocating out of Chicago to Austin, definitely give Ian a ring or give me a ring. I can connect with you, with him for sure. But yeah, I mean, just start getting rid of your coats. Actually bring one coat because it does snow in Austin once out of X amount of years. So just bring one coat. Bring your North Face.
That's it, man. I love that you said that. There are, 2 million realtors or something like that across the United States. It's crazy. There are like 10% that actually do work though. Right. So there's a small percent. But like Brandon said, I think it's really incredible that you have people that you can work with that are there to help you out. And if you are considering making this transition, reach out to either one of us or talk to your realtor and make sure they connect with either one of us and bring some coats.
Just one.
Bring something. Oh, that's the thing. You want to be prepared for as much as you can. You don't want to shed everything. And I've kind of felt that way for a lot of people. It's like, oh, you don't need any of this. You don't need snow scrapers. You don't need any of that stuff. If you have the skills to adjust and adapt, then sure, you don't need to bring in, you'll figure it out. But that's not most people. It's important to have those sorts of things. It would be really challenging right now. Like if we didn't have, what was it? Like, I don't know, like the battery backups or scarves. There you go. If I needed to walk to the store and I didn't have scarves or coats, that'd have been horrible, man. So yeah, if you're going to transition, keep some of those things. You don't have to keep all of them, but it's important. And I think that's wherever you go. You never know what to expect.
Yeah, for sure.
We've been all over the place. Thank you very much for taking the time, man, to talk to me and everybody watching.
No, for sure.
What I'll do is for anybody watching, I'll make sure to put Brandon's contact information in the description below. So if you want to reach out to him, and be sure to check out his YouTube channel too. What's your name on YouTube?
It's Brandon Blankenship. You're moving to Illinois, not Austin.
Right. Well, I'll have to come on your channel here in a little bit. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm Ian of Austin. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day. Stay safe, stay warm, all that good stuff. Talk to you.